Hey guys, it's Kate and I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to play around with some of these little collage and gessoed and watercolor pieces that I made. I cut them out and they're actually available for free on my website if you want to download your own and print them out and cut them. They'll look just like this, and I'm going to give you a close-up so you can see the collage background, the nice texture, and they're just really fun, whimsical shapes. And this is part of a larger kind of set that I did. So I wanted to use them in a journal spread today. I've got my pre-painted pages, and so I'm going to get started with my background, and then these will go on top as my focal point. So this is just some matte craft paint, and I'm going to go in with this giant new Posca pen that I got, and I'm going to put down some marks on my page, and I'm just going to have some fun just making some of these big marker marks. This Posca pen is so much fun to play with. I really love it. And you can make some cool textures. And I'm just kind of playing around here, but it is such a rich, dark black, and it has very full coverage. And so I'm just going to go around and do some fun mark making, just like this. All right. Next up, I'm going to grab a smaller one, and I'm going to go for my painter's marker. This is also black. I'm going to try to make this a quick journal page today too. So I'm just going to make some little writing marks here. Need to prime it a little bit. Almost like I'm writing a little note, but it doesn't actually say anything. And we each have our own little script marks, so you can play around and just add it as some interesting backgrounds. All right. Now, my background is pretty bright, and also I have a lot of darkness on my page, so I want to introduce some light. So I'm going to give this just a second to dry and come in with some titanium white. I'll be right back. All right, let's get going. I'm going to just dollop some right here on the page, and I'm going to go in with my 2-inch silicone brush right here. And I'm going to just get this spread out in some areas of the page very thinly and put down some marks. And I'm going to let some of that pink still show through. And you can still see some of the texture coming through from the back, but I want it knocked way back so I can start adding some other color to the top of this. And I might go over again in some areas here and add some fun marks like that. I don't want to waste any paint. Maybe I'll add the rest of that right down there. Now, for my pieces, I actually used a mixture of phthalo blue, I believe, maybe some ultramarine. I used some sap green and some sort of pinky purpley colors, and I've got the pinky purpley on here, and I think that'll be a nice contrast, but I want to bring in a couple of the colors that I use. So those are kind of pastel. I'm going to have some white here. I've got my black marks shining through. I'm going to come in here with some phthalo blue. And I'm going to put this right here on my palette. And I'm going to grab one of my brushes. I'll grab one of my filberts, which I love. I'm just going to give it a quick dip in the water. I'm going to start making some marks. Just like this. We don't need any special equipment or tools, and I'm going into wet paint, so it's going to kind of combine a little bit, but that's okay with me. And I'm going to alter my directions a little bit and give this kind of a fun little background. And if you're going toward your edges, just go ahead and go over your page edge. That way you have some continuity. It kind of looks like it'll just continue. And I'm also going to have some coming in from the side. And I really love this blue. It's really beautiful. I've got this little textured palette knife. I'm just going to go in here and make some fun marks. Just like that. Get some nice texture going on this page. Like that. I'm going to mix in some of this green, sap green, and I'm going to put some more white on my page too, or on my palette. I'm going to mix a little bit of this together. And I'm going to add a little bit of that phthalo blue. It's going to be very strong, so I'm just adding a little bit right on the tip of my palette knife. And I'm going to grab my other brush here, wipe the excess off, dip it in just a little bit of water. And I'm going to come in here and make some larger shapes with my flat brush. Just like that. And where I'm coming in contact with the phthalo blue, I'm just letting that mix in with my brush and mix in with that green. Just like that. I don't really care if I have wet paint on here, that's fine. I just want that contrast and that texture with the brush strokes. And all of these colors are going to blend together a bit anyway. I've even got a little bit of black coming in from that background, which kind of looks neat. Okay. So just a little there. And maybe some right there. Excellent. I'm gonna let this dry a little bit and come right back. Okay, I've got some of this Creative Inspirations Flesh Tint. It's like a nice peachy color, which will add a little bit of warmth to this. And I've got a little bit on my plate here and a bubble stencil that I have. And I'm going to stencil in some light colored little bubbles on my page. So I'm probably 80% dry or so. So there's still some damp paint on my paper, but not a ton. So there might be a little bit of blending around the stenciled area, but probably not a ton. But I will be adding some of this color and some texture to this sort of greenish blue area that I've got coming from my page. And I'm going to go back in with my brush afterward and probably add some more. So it's just showing up very lightly, which is what I want. And I'm going to come in from this side and add some more. Right over some of this white, just like that. And lift up my stencil and add some more coming right off the top of my page here. Now, just for some extra, I'm going to add just a little bit here and a little bit down here. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. I'm going to come back in with my flat brush on just what I have left of this paint, and I'm going to just add some fun marks. Just like that. And I like this color because it's kind of opaque, but it's also kind of light. And so it shows up faintly on this blue background, but it just adds some extra texture and just some fun marks. I really have been exploring a lot with mark making lately and having some fun with that. So it's kind of nice to just play, and that's what our journal is for. And I'm just going to kind of carry this theme through with these lines. Just like that. And I'm pretty much out of paint, so we're going to stop there, or I'm going to stop there. You can keep going as long as you like on your own page. And I hope that you download those items and follow along with me because they're a lot of fun to work with. So I've got my pieces here, and I think these are going to go really nicely on this background. And I really don't care that some of my paint is still wet. I'm going to be gluing these in place with some craft glue and let it all dry together. And acrylic paint is also kind of like a glue. So it doesn't really matter that I'm going to be putting this over wet paint. It'll all dry together and just help strengthen that bond. So I've just got some tacky glue here, and I'm going to let this set out and dry. Put a thin layer on my flower. And I'm going to put this one right up here in the corner as a frame. And I'm going to press that down good. Just like that. And I have these other bubbles here that I made. I'm going to set this aside for a second. But what I thought I could do to kind of bring it all together is have this coming up here, this kind of following along, and I've got two extra little pieces that I'll kind of put up here, and it'll go right over this other circle stencil that I made. So I'll start with this one and get my glue on it. And line it right up with the bottom of my paper. And give that a good press for a second. Press that one back down. All right, and I'm going to have this one maybe like that. And I can come back in and put gesso on all of this, or some kind of, well, clear gesso or some kind of matte medium or sealer. All right, I'm going to do these leaves. And I still have several things left that I made. This is actually the original, but I have the file too if I want to print any more. And I'm going to let this come right out from the side here. All right. And then last but not least, my two little circles. And I'll put maybe one over here. And one right here. And I'll stick that right down. And we have a completed journal spread, and it was easy and pretty quick, if I do say so myself. I'm going to take these out and give you the close-up. And I love how this turned out. I love making these little pieces that you can use in your piece, in your artwork. So let me give you a close-up. And you can see all the texture we have, all the marks. And the pieces go together because I painted them all at the same time and cut them out. So they have a similar color scheme. So as long as you make your background work, then these will all work together in whatever arrangement that you want. But I hope you enjoyed this journal today and had some time to get creating. And I'm going to let this dry right here to the page and come back and enjoy this later. And I hope you like doing this, and until next time, keep creating.